I read this book in 26 minutes, and I'm feeling inspired and motivated to connect with others because I better understand common humanity, elders' knowledge, and a playlist. So let's get into this. This is 26-minute reads with me, Mya D. And this reading vlog is kind of like my accountability space because in these videos, I share with you my takeaways from my current reading. This is number one, book number one of my 26 to 26 challenge, where I'm reading 26 minutes per day as an act of self-love, as an investment into myself, and as a way of providing myself with some consistency in an ever-changing world. So this is more like slow reading than speed reading, and I hope that that will encourage you to join me along in this journey by reading along with me and dropping your thoughts in that comment section so that there's an actual dialogue going on. Well, this week I read pages 179 through 208, and let's get into these takeaways. Takeaway number one is, let me get my notes, is common humanity. And on page 184 of the book, we find these words. It is important for diverse students to see themselves in curriculum content and instructional text, but that's not enough. They also need to recognize themselves in others and understand that they are a part of common humanity. I felt like this section spoke to othering and how it supports students' resistance to curriculum content. Not seeing the humanity in another group allows students to think of themselves or to think of that group as other and therefore not relevant, not necessarily needing respect, or not necessary. Sometimes it's necessary for us as instructors to draw that direct line. An instructional practice that allows students to see how they are connected to humanity, to lives, to the greater world. The book gives this example of a situation where African-American students read stories that originated from Africa, but didn't connect with it, didn't appreciate it. It was also noted that prior to reading, there was no contextual information offered to the students before going into the reading. Now, I found that contextual information is imperative in my teaching practice as it allows the students an entry point into this new information. And while I might not have used the term common humanity prior to this point, or language around its connection to humanity, I'm very clear that I've experienced this in my own learning and I use it in my own methods of teaching. One of my earliest instructors, Kibibi Ajanku, always taught us the 5 W's before she taught us a new movement language. So that who, what, where, when, and why. When introducing a new dance, and here's the thing, she did it regardless of your age. So whether it was her 2-year-old group or whether it was somebody 102, she always gave that contextual information as an entry point into the dance form. When introducing a new dance, she would always tell us where the dance, what the name of the dance was, who originally did the dance. Did I say I did what? What the name of the dance was? Who originally did it, where it was from, why it was done, and when it was done. We always walked into the dance with that information. And this is something that I actually continue in my own practice. So I feel like this is also a great time to say that while I do have several decades of experience as a dancer, as an educator, and as a curriculum writer, I'm not the know-all be-all for this book. I'm simply providing a space for dialogue, right? So remember to drop your thoughts into that comment section because the idea is that in me sharing this information and creating that space to dialogue, that we are all growing better as educators so that we better serve the ones that are coming up after us. So drop your thoughts below. Going back to this idea of prior to movement, learners are taught those 5 W's, that contextual knowledge around the information, right? In a recent experience with one of my university courses, we were going to begin a discussion around, or going to begin the learning a dance traditionally done for a harvest. So we walked into that experience by talking about how the harvest manifests in their current life. Like, how does being situated in the US, how does the harvest, how do you experience the harvest? Now, it was very given that none of the students, or not given because that's an assumption, my student class, my student population did not include any people that were currently farmers, but they did acknowledge seeing more farm trucks on the roads at certain parts of the year and how it affected traffic and other things. They mentioned the breaks in the schedules that supported the harvest. They have mentioned certain holidays and celebrations. They noted changes in the types of fruits and vegetables that they saw in the market at different types of the year. And all of this is very much connected to the harvesting of fruits and vegetables. So I was able to then draw that direct line of harvest as something that happens around the world, that is part of our lived experience, even though they are not the people that are doing the actual picking of the thing. And then I walked into the conversation or the movement practice of teaching the dance form, introducing the 5 W's, and then walking into movement. This is a much needed practice, I feel, because it allows for that entry point into the information. Because of all of this connection, I was able to draw that direct line for the students that allowed them to engage and to better understand what was coming afterwards. The book discusses contextual knowledge and background and how it allows the learners to respect and appreciate the stories of other cultures, because they can then see how all of this is a connection to the common humanity. Takeaway number 2, my notes were just so far away, is elders' knowledge. On page 188 of the book, we find these words, and I quote, "As trust and equal status engagements evolved between educators and community members, the project design team came to better understand the historical and cultural context of elders' knowledge," end quote. So I have a big sister in my community, Nika Namdi, and she often speaks of cultural technology. And this is the wisdom that's housed within a community, and how that wisdom is often shared from the elders to the next generation. I feel like elders' knowledge and cultural technology are one and the same. The previous quote was taken from a math initiative that connected math with cultural context, and this was done amongst Alaskan Natives. The initiative brought together a collective of K-12 educators, higher ed, and elders from the community. All right, let me slow down. The collective understood that math was embedded into some of the cultural tenets, like taking trips, like hair braiding, star navigation, the pattern designs that you find in pottery, jewelry making, the making of blankets, and basket weaving. And I feel like this initiative made it very clear, or reminded us that while it is very clear that updating the curriculum is necessary, there's also a space to apply and include our traditional techniques and cultural technology, because they're still relevant. Relationship building is necessary in order to bridge that space between the elders' knowledge and the contemporary information, in order to create a holistic curriculum that supports students having a better learning experience. An increase was noted. An increase of accessibility to knowledge was noted, and that these members of that collective that weren't necessarily a part of the community, they were allowed to witness certain procedures and practices that would not have been afforded to them. And this access also created what they called a third space, The elders' knowledge was used to create a third space, that situates math curriculum alongside contextual knowledge, still leaving space for novelty that was able to capture the interests of the learners and increase their involvement. And that's kind of beautiful. I think it's beautiful. Let me know your thoughts. Takeaway number 3 is a playlist. The ethnic and cultural diversity in curriculum content section ends with a conclusion that reminds us of the necessity to have diverse curriculum, diverse resources, and so forth. And it also had this really nice takeaway. On page 196, we find this list of practice possibilities. This section includes several lists, one of them being the cultural diversity and social justice films and video list. It also included authors of color and children and adolescent literature list. And it included the Ethnic Minority Arts, Culture, and History Museum list. But one of the things that I really felt connected to was the Popular Culture, Social Justice, and Human Rights song list, which I used to create a playlist for you. I would love for you to listen to that playlist and share your thoughts. And I'm also always looking for a great book to read, so you can drop that in the comments section, or you can just drop a book emoji so that I know that you're here with me. This has been 26-Minute Reads with me, Mya D. Remember to like and subscribe if you liked this video or found it interesting in any other kind of way. Stay blessed, spread a good word, and I'll see you again soon.